Well, this is a great honor. For those of you who don't know, this fine minister was the minister who dedicated me as a small child. It's all his fault. I have before you the Reverend Dr. Charles Gaines. Chuck, your ministry has rippled out into the lives of many contemporary leaders in our religious movement. Your influence on the growth of our movement and the diversity of our professional religious leaders has largely gone without credit. So let us take a moment here today to celebrate you and your dedicated work to our faith. You were the last minister to be ordained as a Universalist minister in 1961. That's before the consolidation of the Unitarians and the Universalists. I heard some clapping. You can do that. Throughout your ministry, you have demonstrated the inclusive values of universalism and upheld the broader vision of a social gospel made manifest in our daily relationships, our institutions, and our work in the world. You have ministered with congregations in Milford, New Hampshire, as well as Massachusetts congregations in Hardwick, Framingham, Cohasset, Groton, and Acton. You faithfully served on the staff of the Unitarian Universalist Association and consulted with hundreds of congregations while at Turnabout Consultants. During your time on the UUA staff, you visited 44 states and 8 nations on behalf of our faith. Your ministry has been a beautiful blend of human-centered relationships, truth-telling, and driving institutional change. Your justice activism has included direct, street-based activism, such as answering the 1965 call for clergy to join the march from Selma to Montgomery, as well as choosing whenever possible to use your institutional power to deliberately seek out and empower those who experience barriers and marginalization. At a time when there were few women in our ministry and even fewer serving in leadership roles at the UUA, you were a consistent ally, colleague, and friend to those who were there while working to make space for those who were not yet in our places of power. Not one to mince words, your passion for honesty and candor led you to address issues head-on, which sometimes was not as appreciated as you might have hoped. But nonetheless, your analysis of our strengths and weaknesses of our movement and your willingness to name difficult truths have taught many about oppression, privilege, and what it means to be an ally. In 1984, months before you were hired to serve at the UUA, and because no one on staff was willing to attend, you represented institutional Unitarian Universalism at the first gathering of bisexual, gay, lesbian, and transgender UU ministers and students. Not long after that, you were hired as the Ministry Settlement Director of the UUA, a position you held from 1984 to 1990, and in which you boldly promoted women, people of color, and LGBTQ ministers for settlement in our congregations. When you encountered resistance, you introduced a programmatic response requiring congregations to examine and strive to overcome their own systemic and personal biases during the settlement process. That response seeded the ground for a program we continue to use to this day, called Beyond Categorical Thinking. Your zealous advocacy was one of the key factors that paved the way for the diversity experience in our professional ministry today. Your Universalist passion for the growth of our religious movement was contagious, inspiring, and practical. During your time as director of the Extension Department of the UUA, you implemented a broad initiative that understood the work of extension and church growth to include not just the support of first-time ministry and congregations, but a full spectrum of services for every congregation of every size. From workshops and conferences to specific programs, you made sure that congregations learned new approaches and found new resources among one another's demonstrated successes. Your sense of urgency led a vibrant period of the Extension Ministry program and the most robust outreach and growth efforts since the days of the celebrated fellowship movement. You were a champion of programming and resource distribution intended to help existing congregations realize their potential while planting new congregations wherever opportunities presented themselves. You have been a champion, a friend, mentor, role model, ally, and minister to too many to count. Your love of our faith, passion for justice, and commitment to ever reforming our institutions is commendable. We owe you a deep debt of gratitude for helping Unitarian Universalism grow when other denominations were waning, and for inspiring a diversity among our religious professionals that help to change who is in the conversation. Throughout your service, you have given us some taste of a universalism that is realizable and modeled for us, a Unitarian Universalism that can be. So on this 23rd day of June in the year 2018, we honor you by awarding you with the annual award for distinguished service to the cause of Unitarian Universalism as presented by the Unitarian Universalist Association.
I have a brief comment. Thank you. Oh, my land. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank you so much for this honor. At the same time, I'm thinking of so many people who should be standing beside me. I could not achieve whatever has been said without the encouragement, the planning, and the active support of so many of you. This is the 57th year in ministry. I was ordained as the last Universalist minister just 2 weeks before merger in a rural church in Hardwick, Massachusetts, a place with more cows than people. One aspect known in Universalist history is that we were evangelists. Evangelist means an enthusiastic advocate. In the 19th century, we were energized to expand our membership. Around 1850, we were one of the fastest growing denominations in the nation. My own evangelism perhaps stems from that. During my ministry, I've traveled to 44 states and 8 countries on behalf of Unitarian Universalism. I have met many friendly, dedicated people, and my own motto in ministry stems from all this. It is taken from the words attributed to John Murray, the founder of Universalism in America, when he said, "You may possess only a small light, but uncover it in order to bring more light and understanding to the hearts and minds of men and women. Give them not hell, but hope and courage." So thank you. Thank you for this honor, and may you also in your own heart and way be evangelists for our faith. Thank you. You're wonderful. You are wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay.